gold build that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to pass to children, baby. Let me teach you. Get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst. And watch it all psychology black on firm, but we ain't all black.
Because I'm about to have a really cool conversation. Last night, I don't know if you saw it, last night, it was so amazing. I talked to this young lady named Ashley. She was a convicted felon. She had got convicted of 14 felonies. Let me spell it out. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14 felonies. All in an effort to try to save some youth, all in an effort to try to help some children, and pushed out the old guard. A lot of racism was going on. She was 26 years old and pissed a lot of people off, and ended up getting convicted of 14 felonies, went to prison. But on her journey is so powerful, and all the people that she's been able to impact, me included. And where she sits today is a place of total power. And she's helping so many more people. What's up, Laverne from Georgia? So many people heal, because that's what she is today. She's a healer. She helped people before when she was just, when she was a child, on to being a young adult and going through what she went through. She chose to go to jail. They wanted to give her community service and house arrest. But this young lady chose to go to jail and spend time in jail, because she said, you know what, listen, I ain't never gonna commit no crimes again, so I don't never plan on, this is my only opportunity to go to jail and see what that experience is like. I don't know how many people want to go to jail and see what the experience is like. I'm going to learn from her. I don't want to learn. I don't need to learn for myself. There's some things, God always, God allows us to go through things so that we can experience. But sometimes I'll be like, Lord, you know what? I'm going to learn from him. I don't need you to teach me from my experience. I'm going to learn from her. I'm going to learn from them. I don't need that. And so that's what I say about this young lady. But she wanted to go and walk the walk herself, which was an amazing story. So after you watch this, I want you to go back and watch our broadcast yesterday, because it was powerful. But now we're going to get into the work. Because have you, Destiny, have you, John, Tamia, have you been in a situation where you've been in love and you've been heartbroken? And that heartbreak took forever. You weren't able to eat. You weren't able to sleep. Only thing that you could do is think about this person. It hurts so bad. And the only thing that you wanted was just to be over this heartbreak. Maybe you've been in an abusive relationship and you don't know how to get out of it. Or maybe you're traumatized from it. Ashley says that she can help you to get out in an instant of heartbreak. Ashley says she can help you to prepare on how you can meet your soulmate and the work. So we're going to talk about the work you need to do, but also we're going to talk about, and I want you to be able to ask Miss Ashley. So this is a dialogue. It's not a monologue. So this is a conversation that we're going to have together, but we going to have together. So I want you to ask this young lady questions, because it's not very often that we get somebody who is clairvoyant, who's a spiritualist, who can come and talk to us and help us to heal, because she's also a healer. So I'm going to bring on Miss Ashley, and we're going to have this conversation today. This is going to be quite interesting. Talk about, number one, how do you get over a breakup instantly? How do you and then how do you prepare yourself to find the perfect mate?
So first, understanding what instant means. Instant means now moment. Instant means that the future never comes and the past is a memory and a thought. So understanding in that instant, it's really however long it's going to take you to wake up and realize that whatever feelings you're feeling can be observed. And so that's the one-on-one specifics that I go through with my clients that are very intricately and intimately detailed to their specific situations. That's why I hate speaking in generalities, because generally speaking, there's always an exception to the rule, and that truth can be debunked. Well, in a one-on-one situation, when we're getting to the truth of why you're feeling what you're feeling, then we get to the truth of where these roots are. So a lot of the times when we're in abusive relationships, we do a lot of blaming the abuser and not looking at ourselves as to how we got into this dynamic. And we can very easily and effortlessly begin to trace all the way back to the roots of why we accepted the first layer of disrespect before it even got physical.
So does it come down to what? Does it come down to like self-love? Does it
It
come
comes,
down
that's what you're building towards, but 9 times out of 10, before you can even get
or
to
lack thereof, lack of self-love?
there's a reason why you're in the situation. It's rooted inside of you, whether it's childhood trauma, whether it's your belief system, whether it's what you tell yourself, the narrative that's been penetrated, your conditioning, your religion. There's a lot of different things that add up to why you're. You also have to first acknowledge that what you feel inside of you is within your control. That's the main thing that I get people to realize, is that you get to control how you feel by what you're giving your attention to. And we don't recognize that before we even get into the abusive relationships, before we get into the toxic relationships, before we get into any relationship, there's a frequency that we're operating on. And you need this relationship to show you where your error thinking is, where your traumas are. Nothing will bring out the most intimate aspects of what you need to change within you than an intimate relationship. Whether it's a situationship, whether it's a marriage, whether even some friendships can do that. But there are aspects of you that you've got to be shown as your mirror. And because it's only you in this life, because only you are in your shoes, only you can do that work to see it. And it's all about your perspective based off what you're experiencing. So if you're constantly a victim, you're never going to see your work, because you're going to always be able to blame someone else for your pain. Yes, they have activities and actions that are doing things outside hurting you. But why did you? How did you? Where are you at within you to bring this here? Why are you accepting it? What's the belief that you have where you're going to accept being treated less than your value? And a lot of the times people don't realize, well, I don't know that I don't value myself. Like when I didn't value myself, I didn't know I wasn't valuing myself. I didn't know how to value myself. I didn't even know what that meant. So when they're like, you're accepting this because you don't value yourself, you don't think that you're worthy. Well, where does that stem from? Where did that come from? What did your mommy tell you? What did your daddy do to you? What did your uncles and aunties and cousins bully you into? What did school and peer pressure start to teach you that you begin to create a narrative in your mind that created a level of thinking that ended up cycling into manifestations that got you here? There's a lot, but it takes a lot of work to have that instant, if that makes sense.
That makes sense.
Yeah, so it's hard for me to
it's not like you hocus pocus and you're like, okay, do this, do this, do this, and it's just it's just rocks and voila. It's a lot of work. But then it also stems down to who you are, what's going on in your life, how you've arrived at this place, and then going back to try to heal. Do you try to heal all of those places?
No, you can't do nothing about it. Understanding that going back will show you where it's at, but ultimately you have to recognize it was purposed. Regardless, stop saying it should be different. It's not. It was purpose. It was definitely needed for you to become who you are today. And that once you understand and accept that, you can begin to change. I was molested as a child. I was abused as a teenager. Like I went through hell in my youth, but I'm not mad about any of it at all. Like not even a little bit. I genuinely seen it as a gift. I chose to change my perspective and see it as a gift. It literally shaped me into this woman I am today. If I would have been angry about it, collective consciousness, infinite intelligence, and unconditional love of myself cannot come. It won't come because you've got blockages in the pathway of your greatness. Like you cannot be mad and angry about what you've experienced and expect to get miracles and blessings. No, you're going to get psychotic breakdowns and mental health issues because you're not allowing stuff to process. Everything is purpose. Like there's nothing that's not purpose. Yes, you were abused. Okay, that sucks. You can't do shit about it. So let's change the perspective and change the narrative and just say it's purposed. What can I get out of this? There are thousands, if not millions of people been abused and share your story. So it's almost fair to say that it's more likely and more normal than not. So share your story and share that it's purpose and share how it's and elevated you and you've used it to your advantage as a gift so that other people can be healed. And a lot of these cyclical effects of drama and problems and issues within our communities will shift because you're now going to see I don't have an excuse for my trauma to behave this way.
Wow.
I don't have, we use our traumas, justifiably so, as an excuse to have negative behaviors, actions, activities, and impulses. And then we continue to re-abuse people in our lives. We choose to re-traumatize people in our lives because we're not accepting that that's just purpose. It's purpose. Now, my spiritual step, it was the contract. Like, that's how I look at all of life. It was a contract. You knew you were going to come to this earth and experiencing. Oh, I see all that. Hold on, that stops me.
No, go ahead.
Okay. I'm like, ooh.
This is good for Fred Williams. He always has something interesting to say.
I'm like, oh, that's it. Wait. My perspective, and I don't push this on people, but when you work with me, I help you understand this, is can you just imagine what it feels like? What if this whole life was a contract? Because first of all, if you're looking at your soul has no race, it has no religion, it has no human experiences. It just is pure, positive, source-filled, God source energy. It is a physical extension of non-physical energy, right? Wow. In that, what if, let's just make it tangible for the mind to comprehend, because the mind is a MFer. This is a contract. You knew you would come to this earth. You knew you would experience all of the contrast, the so-called unquote good or bad, light and dark, whatever the case may be, all in the sake of you expanding and learning how to create on this planet. Let's just pretend, right? And take away the idea and the judgments of anything being good or bad. Just is, right? Would you then see your trauma as bad? It's just an event.
That is, yeah.
It just is. So in the isness, and you remove your judgment of it, how differently will you navigate through life?
A lot differently. Most people will, right? Because the majority of people don't know how to operate that way. The majority of people, how many people can say that their trauma was a blessing? People that are watching right now, how many of you can say that your trauma was a blessing in your life that made you be the person that you are today? A lot of us are victims of our trauma. A lot of us are still hurting from our trauma. A lot of us have used our trauma to, inadvertently hurt others. We go through life based upon the trauma that we've been through.
And I tell the hurt person this: go right now to your hurt. Even you, this is just a quick exercise, okay? Go right now to think of something that is bothering you and it's hurting you. It hurts. It hurts. Go there. Do you see how you can go there? First of all, that's power, right? That's the power to say that there's something in you that's already bigger than the hurt because you can go there.
Okay.
Right? Like that means it's really you.
Yes.
Right? So there's this hurt that's in your essence that you are observing. That's not really you.
So how do you take it from the interior and place it on the exterior?
You can't. You have to learn how to navigate within yourself.
Okay.
You've never had to navigate within yourself because you've been taught and conditioned to believe that you are what you feel, which means you are what you think, because you'll never think a good thought and feel bad. It's impossible. It's like turning 97.
You'll never think of a thought and feel bad?
You'll never think a good thought.
Oh, a good thought. Okay. You'll never
feel bad.
Right.
That's like turning 97.7 on and expecting 106.1 to come on. They're two different frequencies.
Yeah.
It's impossible, right?
Right.
So, and then when I say think, I'm talking about pondering on. Some people are like, I feel really bad. I try to think a good thought. Well, no, you've been feeling really bad, which means you've had a myriad of bad thinking, of bad thoughts, a bad narrative, of bad stories, a bad situation that you've been pondering on that's created and manifested this feeling inside of you. So you got to now slow your thinking down and change it. One of my favorite teachers says, take a nap. Just go to sleep. When you wake up, immediately when you wake up, start thinking something differently. So what feels good. So understanding that because you've got this negative energy, this pain that you can give your attention to and go to, there's a part of you that doesn't feel it at all.
Okay.
My trips and tips show you how to go there, stay there, and learn how to meditate there, where you can observe that pain.
You can observe it like it's not a part of you.
Like it's not a part of you. Pulling yourself apart from that pain. And then I take it a step further and say, now, when you feel this pain, what are the thoughts that you're thinking? Write them down. Write them all down, the thoughts. This really hurt me. I can't live without him. I'm nothing without him. Start really focusing on what those thoughts that are creating that pain are. Then write them out and then look at them and then write the truth. I can't live without him. Yes, you can.
Right.
Yes, I can live without him.
And not only that, you could thrive without him.
Right. But you've got to do the work. And in the changing of the thought, you've got to also make sure that when that thought of I can't live without him, every time that thought comes up, you counteract it with 4 of the same thoughts for 30 seconds that are the truth. Know the truth, and the truth shall set you free. In negativity, you're in captivity. Telling the truth about the lies that you're believing that are keeping you negative will set you free. I help unlock the truth. And when that truth explodes in your head, it's in the instant. And it's in that instant that you now become a different person and you can't go back. You can't unlearn what you've learned. So once you know the truth, now you have to do the work and making that truth your reality. How do you do that? That becomes your dominant style of thinking. That becomes your frequency. And you'll notice that you'll begin to feel better over time. I say time because time is based off of how you perceive time, not necessarily the time that, people have. So I've had people who can get through things in, 30 seconds to 30 minutes. And I got people who I've been dealing with for 30 days. It's just all about their willingness. You have to have a high willingness to change. If you don't have a high willingness,
that's the key.
You have to want to change.
Right. You have to want to change. You can't be like, well, I mean,
right.
Teetering. I know it's best for me, but I'm still holding on to hope of this.
And I get it. I'm someone who I literally stayed in a marriage I had no business being in. I knew 6 months into my marriage, I had no business being in this marriage. But I, Ashley, the fighter, the one who's got trauma, and I just got to make something different of myself. And we're going to make this work. That's another thing. If you have to make your relationship work, it's not love. That's not love. That's obligation. And that just drains you of ever having a great relationship. It's just, you got to love yourself, change your frequency, and evolve. I had to get out of my marriage. On top of that, my life crashed. So that really helped too. And sometimes that's what it takes. Sometimes you're not going to be willing to change until your whole life hits rock bottom. That's fine. That's great.
You know what? Actually, we're taught that we're supposed to make it work. We're taught that, in a relationship or in a marriage, that it's, it is work. Like, you have to do the work in order for it to work. There's things that you got to do. So is your relationship supposed to be easy? Is it supposed to be smooth sailing? Like, what is it supposed to be?
So I rock with my relationships now in this way. And this is what I tell people. Number one, is it working for you? Is that belief system working for you in your marriage, you and your relationship? It is great. Keep going, because you're making it work. If it doesn't work for you and you're in constant turmoil and your relationship is spinning out and there's a whole bunch of things that are happening around you, then you need to change it. Like, it's not that difficult. I operate from, I like you very much. Let's see how today goes. That is literally how I operate, and it's working. This is the first time I put it into place in my relationship ever, and it works. And then I see the longevity without putting the pressure of saying it's forever. I know in the back of my mind what is going to be is going to be. I don't put a boundary on the glory of my relationship by saying we're in this together and we're going to make this work, because what I say then creates a relationship where I'm making my relationship work. I don't want to create that. I don't want to have to speak over it. So yes, I think that relationships are supposed to be easy. I personally, that's my belief. That's how I've operated. That's my knowing. And when it's uneasy, there's a lie present. Because either my ego is acting an ass or his ego is acting an ass, and we're not operating from a harmonious place. So we have to remove the ego, sit in the seat of the soul, and get back to what we really know is true. What's the truth in this moment? How does this work? What does the truth look like? Not what it looks like to me and what it looks like to you. What's the truth? There are some basics. I don't believe in that there's his story, her story, and then there's the truth, because then there's lies involved. Harmony is the truth. You get set free in the truth. If there's disharmony, there's a lie present. Where's the lie? Find it. Let that be. We get into these relationships, and then all of a sudden we become headbutting because we're not being honest about either how we're feeling, because we know that it's petty to begin with, or what our real issue is, or our insecurities are coming up and we want to mask our insecurities with our egos, which is what we think of ourselves in these haughty moments. You have to be willing to put all that down in your relationship to get to the truth of what needs to change in a moment where there's dysfunction. It's not hard. It's just ego breaking, and nobody wants their ego to die, because that's been your sense of protection, and that's been your how you function in the world. It's really hard to love when you have your ego so in the forefront, because it masks as love, but it's not.
But the problem is, I think a lot of couples, both of them don't have this, right? So you have one that'll run with this. Right. You have one that'll run like this, and then you have the other person that has no concept, but they're doing things the way that they know how to do. And so then that's a situation where you have to try to make it work. You have to try. I
disagree. My mindset is this: if you're number one, you first, like, period. You have to be in your place of self-love and wanting to grow and wanting to change. You cannot let anybody, man, woman, or child, stop you from growing, because it's in the growth that you align with God in such a dynamic that you become your greatest version. Your greatest version is free from ego. Get that 100%. And what does that mean when it's ego? You do not identify with your mind. You control your mind 90% of the time, because, shit happens and things, unfold. But literally, you're working to control your mind. That's the goal. How to control your mind? There's various ways, and I walk people through that. So understanding that you're first, and you're only going to be loving, you're only going to be compassionate, you're only going to be full of understanding and patience as you're evolving. But honey, as my partner, I'm going to need you to do the same. And when you're doing it simultaneously at the same time, there may be moments where you're like this, but because if there's disharmony, there's a lie present. Oh, hold on. Let's get to this lie, unravel this lie, let this truth come in, and let's get back to our growth. And we're both growing. So both people have to be committed to change. You got to be committed to evolving together. You got to be committed to taking on life together, facing the world, not facing each other. And the only time you're facing each other is when you're making love. So let's be clear that there's a lot of components to this reality that people don't know about, but they also don't want to know about because their ego tells them they know it already.
Yeah. I travel all over the country and, around the world. And one of the things that I know, just going to different events and conferences and just a lot of self-improvement type of events, I noticed that in every audience, there are mostly women. Mostly women. When you go to church, there are mostly women. Women, for the most part, I would say, are always into, self-improvement, anything that they can do to better themselves. And then you don't have a lot of men who believe this. And so you'll see some men sprinkled here and there. What do you say? Because a lot of people that are watching are women, and a lot of them don't have the men that are conscious, are aware, are self-aware. What do they do? I mean, you just can't just throw the whole man away. What are some things that they could do to kind of get their man engaged?
So I have it's twofold to this, right? Because my best friend tells me that I am harder on women than I am on men. And I will agree with that because I gave birth to a boy. So me understanding that I am responsible for birthing the men, I look at all women as responsible for birthing men. Therefore, we have some accountability in that department as we're elevating, making that the requirement of any man that wants to be a part of our lives. And 9 times out of 10, we're seeing that a lot of us are accepting men not being open and flexible and subject to change and even willing to listen, right? And then having these demands of us to be submissive, right? But the best way is to teach a man how to treat you by maintaining your level of self-love, which means you just can't have access to me right now because you're not willing to grow. You're not in this moment. Do you want to grow or do you want to argue? Do you want to grow or do you want to be right? Where is it? And it's not being, and I'm just going to be frank about it. Don't be a bitch about it. It's about being in love. Now, sometimes some of them will trigger you to jump into your ego real quick and have a moment of clarity and conversation. Like, I understand that. However, make sure that
like, don't get it twisted.
Right. It happens, but ultimately, as the woman, as the powerhouse, as the God that you are, you got the control. You know, women got way more power than they give themselves credit for. We just give our power away and like, we want you to come save us. No, you do the saving of thyself first. Because once you step into your alignment, now your language will change when you speak to your man. We don't even know how to properly educate our men through loving conversation. I made it and this is that. But honey, when you begin to speak love and life, he becomes more emotionally mushy and able to for you specifically. Like specifically, how you build your man up will be what pours into you. He is going to have to learn the language that's necessary for you. So you're absolutely right. A lot of women, and I speak a lot of Black women in particular, have had to have a very hard shell that does not allow themselves to come out of their ego and speak life into a man because they want the man to move first. But baby, we gave birth to them. We got to teach them. We have to, and they've been in generations.
That's not what we were taught. That's not what we were taught. We were taught that a man needs to be the man, and he needs to lead, and we need to follow. And
right. But let's look at the breakdown of the Black family in particular, because I always say that until the Black family is made whole, I really don't have nothing for nobody. So when we're looking at the breakdown of the Black family from historical standpoints, right? Historically speaking, this has been systematically broken down on us to literally separate, become independent from, and then target Black men as if it's their fault that we're in this position. And then we've been made to believe that we're right and justified. But you gave birth to this man. When will you take collective consciousness as a whole? We're going to speak in generalities and understand that no man came from another man. None, in the sense of you carried him for 9 months. If the man wants to be in the baby's life or not, you can choose to abort or keep with or without him. Therefore, you got some responsibility in raising him. When we adopt this principle in our mind, we approach these traumatized, emasculated men from a different perspective. How many mothers have ruined their sons and take no responsibility for it? None. And they want to step out and wonder why they don't have a man of their own. You can't tell me that you are even remotely close to. You don't acknowledge that this man has pain. Now, I'm not saying that because you are compassionate with the man, bless you, that you are willing to accept nonsense. That's also where it goes to raise your standards, Black women. And I'm not talking about raise your standards in this material world, because, honey, at the end of the day, money don't mean a damn thing. I'm talking about raise the spiritual standard, require him to spiritually evolve before he even steps to you. How do you know? Because your frequency won't even let you go down, baby. You got to lift up, and let me show you how to lift up before I even let you touch me. A lot of times we have sex with men before they've even been on our level spiritually. Stop having sex with men who are not on your level spiritually. If you are at a low level of spirituality, you ain't got no business having sex no way, because you just passing around toxic ass energy and wondering why STDs are flourishing. Everything is energy first.
And that's why so many women accept, because they didn't have sex before they understood, before they really knew, before they experienced the frequency of that man, and then they just start accepting anything.
Yep. And I've done it, so I understand it. You know what I'm saying? Like, I've been in those situations where I've been like, God damn, why did I do this to myself? How did I get here? I didn't work on myself. And a lot of it is my own trauma. Like, I had to really, really sit within myself and figure out how my trauma affected me. And then I had to say, okay, so where am I at in this?
Yeah.
Let's just take everybody out of the picture. Remove everybody else out of the picture and think, where am I at where I can grow? What do I know? Because you know when you messing up, you know when, and you know this by how you feel. That's the other thing too. People say, I didn't know. When you're angry, don't move. Stop.
Just stop.
Observe the anger and figure out where you can release your anger. No matter how justified you are, the trick is to not identify with your anger, your irritation, not act in it, not give it attention. We hold on to our anger because it's a manifestation of our unresolved issues. When you realize that everything is a gift, anger comes in. Oh no, I'm not doing that. Gotta go. And it leaves. Like you're never always angry. There are moments, even if you're depressed, there are moments in a depressed life where you've experienced something else.
Right.
So you know that it's possible to experience that again.
Right.
So then you make it your duty and you're responsible to do whatever it is to get back to that feeling so that that energy can pass, because it's just an energy. Depression, anxiety, fear, worry, doubt, anger, hate, it's just an energy. Now you continue to give it to yourself, right? You keep giving it to yourself by giving attention to it. It can't go nowhere because you're holding on to it. When you learn how to observe that shit, back up. And then you notice slowly at first, it begins to dissipate like vapors. Then you change your frequency. It changes automatically. You loosen up a little bit, you rise up a little bit, you start rising more and more, and then you get to a place of happiness and oh shit, you're happy. Like, oh my God, like I'm happy. Happiness and a man coming in, oh honey, you're gonna notice the change in the quality of men for sure.
Right.
That light.
And what you tolerate will change.
Oh yeah, because as soon as he come at you with some sideways, I require you to be better. Thank you. I need for you to do your work or move on, because I know that nothing is work. When you do your work to come out of depression, like I have, and those around me who've been it, when we've literally been depressed and suicidal, and we have finally come out of that, and it's not temporary, you can feel it's a whole hell of a lot permanent. When you've done that work, nobody, not one, not your mama, not your daddy, not your cousins, not your uncles, not your aunties, not your children, or will be allowed to have behaviors that are constantly messing with your ability to stay high. You are going to tell them either you get your shit together or you gotta move. You're gonna move. And then you'll notice as you elevate, a lot of the same company you used to keep don't stay with you. Because you're no longer operating on the same frequency as
Right.
So you gotta your world changes.
And yeah, things in your entire world will change.
Everything
around you, but the things that the blessings that start coming to you.
Yeah, and you're like, oh, this is fucking nothing.
Yes.
That's where I'm at. Like when I'm literally at a point in my life where I think I was telling you last night, I go to bed early just so I can wake up and experience the glories of tomorrow, because I am heavenly excited about what's coming. Like, I want to know what is going to come the next day, because today was so fire. And I can just be in my office all day not doing nothing. But it was fire because inside, the level of joy that I have because my thinking is different. My focus went from being depressed from a life of fraud to, oh my God, am I going to get this house? Like, okay, I know it's mine, and what it feels like to be in this home. And, like I literally, that's the work. So when I tell people all the time, when you come in, it's going to suck. Your first times with me are going to suck. You're going to hate it because you got to work, and you never had to work. But baby, if you just hold on and do your work, get to that other side. Oh, honey, it's worth it.
The thing about it is, I want to say 80% of people aren't willing to do the work, and only 10 to 20% of individuals are willing to work on themselves to get that breakthrough. And it's unfortunate because the tools are out there. You are out there. People like you are out there to give the people the tools that they need, but people just don't want to work. And so what do you say to the 80 to 90% of the people who are stuck in their mind? What do you say to those people?
Is it working for you? I mean, it's just that simple. And I'm not going to argue. That's the other thing. I'm not going to argue with you about changing yourself. Is it working for you?
No breakthrough.
Yeah, like, is it working for you? No, okay, but I'm not going to spend my time. First of all, you're not even going to come in contact with me. I always say those who come in contact with me are ready for me. And what is the saying? When the student is ready, the teacher appears. Yeah. That's the life that I live. So I'm not dealing with the 80% of people that don't want to change, because everybody in my life wants to change. And if you don't, you're not in my life. So I don't care. Like, it doesn't bother me one way or another. But what I'm not going to do is argue and debate about limiting beliefs, when I know that beliefs are nothing more than thoughts that you keep thinking. Change your thoughts, and then your belief changes. And then when you step out of belief, you go to know. And then when you know, and you know that you know, and it's the truth that you know, you are set free. Like, I've seen it. Like, no one can tell me nothing about this. I've literally operated and watched people's lives change, including my own, from having simple conversations. I don't know people that have been in, I don't know anyone who's experienced trauma. And I'm talking, I use this as an example all the time. One of my clients, who's a good friend of mine, watched her boyfriend blow his brains out in front of her. She calls me 24 hours later, and we're having a conversation. And within 30 minutes, we are genuinely grieving in laughter. Why? Because we understand the highest perspective of God is everything is purposed. Everything is contracted. Everything is always exactly the way that it's supposed to be, even when you think that it's not. And that's a bold declaration for a lot of people who don't ever want to come out of their own trauma. But I don't care, because this is what has proven to work. And she's highly healthy now. And she gets therapy. And that's the other thing too. I always say, do not come to me and expect me to be your therapist. I am not your therapist. I have my own. I've been to my own. My children have their own. I do not engage in any type of therapy, because I did not want to go to school and go through that education and get them student loans and do that. That ain't my calling. That's for the mind. I'm for the spirit. I feed your spirit. I let you see your spirit within you. And then when your mind starts acting an ass, I don't engage with it. I tell you, go with your therapist. Because when you begin to talk to your therapist, she shows you how to get out of your mind. I don't deal with the mind. The mind is pointless to me. I deal with the spirit. And I show you how to activate your spirit so that your mind can change. There are various ways of navigating through your trauma. You just have to be willing to do them all if you want to have all, because the all is what you are at your core anyway. And it's nothingness that gets you what you need. But people don't understand that.
Nothingness that gets you what you need.
Nothingness. Wanting for nothing, you have everything. Wanting for nothing, you have everything.
True.
Because wanting comes from a place of lack. If I want something, it means it's not there. And even the wanting is an energy. And it's an unhealthy energy. But yet we've been conditioned to learn from the wanting. There ain't shit in wanting but lack. Stop wanting. It's nothingness that you want. And what you're so afraid of, which is why you'll hold on to your trauma, because who are you if trauma is no longer anything?
Woo, okay, if this is good to y'all, type in the chat box that this is good. If this is good to you, type in the chat box that this is good. And not only that, I want you to hit the like button, hit the thumbs up button, thumbs up, heart this conversation. Let Ashley know that you appreciate her teaching, and make sure you are sharing this. This is some good stuff, and everybody needs to hear it. Because so many people are, there are very few people, I'll say this, there are very few people who have hit that level of consciousness to where they can change their mindset. And so many people need to hear this. This is a message for the masses. So in terms of like finding that other person, because I know we're in COVID season and it's been really hard. There's a lot of families that have broken up. You know, you have to sit there and be with your spouse, be with the person that you're with, and you got to look at that person every day. You realize, I don't really like you. We don't get along, right? So now you have separated from that, and now you need to do the work, the internal work. What is the internal work that you need to do before you move on to something else?
Be happy. Do whatever it needs for you to be happy.
Mhm.
Like it's not that crucial. Some people take years to get happy. That's your choice. And some people take days to get happy. That's your choice. I don't say find and go look. That's not where I'm at. I'm at.
But what's the work? What's the get happy? What? So is it all those things that you just talked about? Is wanting for nothing? Is getting your mind to where you are thinking good thoughts and you are throwing away those bad thoughts? It's just surrounding yourself with goodness and light and positivity.
And that on all, even how you just described it, it was very surface, which seems impossible. Right? So that's where it comes down to. I don't like to speak in generalities because it's very intimately done. But if your intention is I just want to be happy, then all of your life will begin to shift with circumstances, people, situations, and events that make that the reality. And you have to face everything that comes your way, knowing that it's come because your genuine intention now is to be happy. So you're going to approach it with that perspective. Doing the work means I'm going to choose to approach life differently. You have to make a conscious, efforting choice within yourself to approach life differently. Stop looking for a man. If you're searching, you're always going to be searching because you're in a place of I have to find. Stop searching. Just allow life to unfold without your messy ass, dirty ass hands in it. Focus on washing your hands, cleansing yourself, healing, whatever that looks like for you as an individual. And I can't say that again in generalities because I don't know what the issues of the people are that are listening to. Only they know. So then you now got to do your internal research actively, consciously, intentionally, effortly. You got to put some effort into this and consistently to discover what it is that you need to be happy, because it's not going to come outside of you. People don't think that you can go and eat. I'm an eater, honey. I put on weight like it's nothing, right? So I eat when I'm sad. I eat when I'm happy. So I have to, if I want to change my insides, I have to stop eating this that makes me happy. That's really garbage because it doesn't make me happy after I'm done with it. So beware of the false illusions of happiness.
Be aware of the false illusions of happiness.
Which means a false illusion of happiness, if it's outside of myself and it makes me happy and I have to have it outside of myself, it's temporary and it will fade.
Kelly said self-love.
Self-love.
And, and that goes with working to be the best version of yourself at all times, operate at your highest at all times, but setting that intention and doing the things. And I know you said everybody is different and you have work each individually for each person, but setting that intention, saying those things out loud. What you say, I just want to be I just want to be happy, because that's what you said. I just want to be happy.
And take away the want. My goal is happiness.
My goal is happiness.
Happiness. Because I just want to be happy. It has a sense of wanting. And so you'll never be. You're going to want it, always chasing it. Just happy.
I am happy.
I am happy. So the issue I have with I am happy is this. When you're miserable and you say I am happy, there's a contradictory vibration in that. And you can feel it, which makes I am happy begins to dissipate in its power. Now, remember, what you say after I am is so. So eventually, as you begin to really, I am happy, I am happy, I am happy, I'm happy, it's going to take a hell of a long time, but it will kick in. You're going to have to do the work to say, happiness is a choice. There's no contradictory in that statement. So you got to really search your mind to find the thoughts that feel better. You got to figure it out, because you're really in a space. This is what doing the work is, though, right? You got to be this is active work, right? So you have to literally go in your mind and say, I'm miserable right now, so this sucks. Okay, that's general. There's no contradictory in that. This really sucks. Okay, cool. It can get better. Do you see how that kind of shifts a little bit inside of you energetically?
Mhm.
It can get better. Okay, cool. All right, I'm gonna sit here for a minute. It can get better. This can get better. This can get better. This can get better. And watch how new thoughts start to come in that match that frequency of that word. People don't understand. It's just it happens just like that.
And I think that the biggest thing, just listening to you, Ashley, is a lot of times when we're suffering from those negative self beliefs, or we're dealing with a heartbreak, or we're dealing with something that's negative, we tend to put all of our focus and our energy on that negative thing.
Mhm.
We want to think about it over. We can't stop stressing about it, and it's over and over and over again. And the thing that we have to set the intention to do is change the thought that's coming in our minds, and let's start thinking about something different.
Right. And if you can't do that,
when we get pulled back, then what do? We just change and start thinking of something.
Yes, you have to be consistent and diligent in that. And that's one way, right? That's just one way of doing it. The other way is to literally sit back and observe it, which takes a little bit more. It's a little more advanced spiritual.
Yeah, that's skill. That takes skill. Like, how am I going to observe this? And
start asking yourself. You have to ask yourself when you're observing, okay, who's feeling this? Who's feeling this? What's this saying? So for me, when I feel negative energy, I say, okay, there goes my ego. And I named her Katrina, because she's worse than a hurricane. So that's literally like when Katrina is active, oh, honey, it's a problem. She's vicious. She is all justified excuses of being negative. Like she's terrible. She's argumentative. She's disrespectful. She got some issues, right? So when she shows up, I've gotten really good at being able to see when she's present. So when she shows up, I'm like, oh, you're here, girl. What's that? Now I begin to have real conversations with her, because I need my energy to remind myself constantly, I am not my mind. I am not this feeling. This is not me. It's in me, but it's not me. This is what it means to be in this world and not of this world.
Hello.
Okay. You got to actually be a light on top of a mountain, be a city on top of a mountain who can hide you. You know, this is what all those biblical scriptures are referring to, is when you can actually sit outside that dark space and observe it. So that's another way, which is definitely a skill that I help people see and do. And when yeah, right. That's there. Eventually these together though create the greatest version of yourself. Yeah, but it takes work. I've been at this for 7 years. Like, it's been rough. And I've also had incredible teachers. I've had incredible partners. Aunt Sarah is not my aunt by blood, but she's a title that even if you met her, when you meet her through me, it's Aunt Sarah. Like, someone says Mrs. Sarah, no, that's Aunt Sarah to you. And it's literally because I've had her. I was up at 3:30 in the morning every single morning for 2.5 years straight, talking to her every single morning, like without fail. And we were reading and we were studying and we were meditating and we were working at getting through these last 5 years of my life. So you do, God, the universe, whatever the hell, Allah, whatever it is that you call God, is going to send you what you need when you make the declaration over your life. Happiness is what you want. I took it a step further and said, give me truth on every level.
Ooh.
On every level, give me truth. So because I did that,
you can't handle the truth.
Right. I said, give me truth, and my whole life just got exposed. Oh, what? Like, wait, I don't want it.
Yeah. I don't know about that. I don't know.
To deal with all the nasty parts of your personality, which is just your person, not your soul, is hard to take when you are afraid of humiliation. It's hard to take when you are afraid of what other people will think of you. But ultimately, it's your secrets that you hold on to that create the rotten parts of you. You got to be willing to be transparent. You got to be willing to expose yourself. And in that, knowing that in your exposing, you're actually protected. The idea that any harm can come to you because you've exposed yourself is what creates the harm. But when you recognize that you're operating from the highest levels of power and that you are divinely guided, divinely orchestrated, and deeply protected, nothing can come to you but good and happy.
Yeah. And you have to know that.
Yeah.
That's the problem. People don't know that.
Right.
That's one basic principle. People don't know that. And so they're willing to accept anything.
Yeah.
And then the heartbreak and the trauma and the turmoil continues to persist in their lives because they don't know that basic principle.
Yeah. But then when you say, I just am happiness is it, and I want truth, everything will be yielded to you. But it's the open-heartedness that you will become. And it's to be, I hold back tears with this next statement because it's really hard for me to say without getting emotional. But the work that you do on yourself when you've been through some shit and your intention is happiness, your heart gets busted wide open. And the feelings of vulnerability come up, but then they're just feelings. So they pass. And when you recognize that your heart is open, authentically open, the joy, you can't focus on it too long without crying, male or female, because it's overwhelming in sensation. Your hair on your arms stand up. You get chills down your spine. It feels like I've gotten really good at being able to talk about it, but it comes forward and I get real choked up in the face a lot because that open-heartedness is then what blesses you with every heart's desire without wanting. I went from kissing a few frogs to having the man of my dreams. And I wasn't looking, wasn't interested, not interested at all. Literally having the man of my dreams. Went from driving my 1994 Mabel to my dream car, waiting on my home, going from dead broke and on welfare to now maneuvering and having learning about different levels of income and being financially literate and all of this wealth of wisdom and knowledge that's coming that I wasn't ready for in my misery. But I was going for, but wasn't getting anywhere with. Because misery does not allow you to experience abundance. It doesn't warrant that. You can't have an abundant life.
They can't live in the same place or the same space.
You're not on fertile ground.
Yeah.
I am on fertile ground because happy and true operates with me. And then when I get my moments where my ego chimes up, I call Aunt Sarah. I call my mama Juanita. I call people who've been my spiritual advisor, like, I can't get out of this right now. Like, let's work, and you begin to maneuver and work through it. Things change and you don't do it for the change. You do it for the love of the open heart. And then the change is the reality, is the manifestation. A lot of men will say,
you don't do it for the change.
No, you don't do it for the manifestation.
Love of the open heart.
Yes, because you want it. You want this. I'm telling you right now. All hell could go down. This world has been, everybody had a messed up 2020, right? They were, oh my God, 2020 was the best year of my life to date. Like,
you can live bliss.
Even in moments where it's not blissful in that moment, it went from being 90% of my days are negative and 10% are positive to 90% of my days are positive and 10 are negative. And that's just the contrast. That also keeps me humble. Right.
And that's where you got to stay.
Yeah.
Yes. A lot of breakthroughs come from being broken and contrite. A lot of people start to do the work when they're in a space of brokenness.
Yeah.
What do you think about, people because I know, when everything's going well and you're living life and you're getting what you want, you don't really do the work. And there's a lot of times there's a lot of work that needs to be done. But then when you fall, that's when you look internally, and that's when you got to clean some things up, and then you can kind of get to that, because you can plateau if you're just operating. If you're just operating and you're thinking everything is cool, and at some point I think for everybody, they hit that wall where they have to come and there has to be some kind of reckoning where they're saying, okay, I need to have this open heart.
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Yeah. I've seen it. I've been a part of it. I've experienced it. And at the same time, it's worth it.
Yeah.
It's your rock bottom because the only way you can do is go up.
Yeah.
And once you go up, you know how to go up.
Yeah.
And then you won't be so quick to, a lot of rock bottoms come because you're not aware that the negative energy is circulating within you anyway. So when you hit that rock bottom and you have to do your work to build yourself back up and you successfully build yourself up, then that negative energy isn't even allowed in your presence anymore. So your rock bottom chances decrease so much. It's like it's a sure thing. Like you're for sure going to be successful because you understand that this energy is not allowed. So there's just, you got power. We have so much more power than we give ourselves credit for. And something that Spirit's telling me right now is to talk about submission and how women struggle with submission because they're trying to actively pursue being submissive. What I've discovered is submission is a natural consequence to joy.
How is that?
When you're in a, first of all, if you did your work and you're healing and healed and you're operating on a certain frequency, that frequency allows that man to come in or that woman to come in. So now you're both are vibrating on a high frequency, right? Mm-hmm. The joy creates automatically a dynamic. It's an automatic consequence. Like there's no, because I've been in situations where I'm not submissive because it's not that he's not worthy. It's that I'm not healed. Like I wasn't in a space. Now I've learned in this particular relationship that what submission is. A lot of times you won't learn what submission is until you're actively doing it subconsciously because you've done your work to heal. Lack of submission is a fear of not being protected. It's a fear of being abandoned. It's a fear of being vulnerable. It's a fear of being controlled. So those are all intimate insecurities that you got to work on before you can even be submissive, because submissive is not an action. It's a natural consequence of. It's no effort in it. It just is. Now, when the Bible writes wives submit, people took it as a rule. I took it as a consequence. You'll naturally submit when you've done your work to heal and operate on a frequency. It won't be a battle because this is who you've chosen to be in this relationship that works with you. So it's natural. Like submission is natural. It's not normal. It's natural.
But that's if you have the right mate.
Right. But again, if you've done your work and you've evolved, you have the right mate.
You've attracted the right mate.
When you're not submissive, it's time to investigate where the lies are. Whether within you or within him. And then it's so interesting because then you can go into the realm of infidelity and what that is. A lot of people blame, but infidelity in a lot of relationships is a result of an insecurity deep within someone who's not doing their work. So you're going to naturally do the shit that fucks up your relationship. And I use that harshly for a reason, because the infidelity is not just betrayal of the person, it's first betrayal of self.
Yeah.
You've been betraying yourself. So you're operating on a frequency of betrayal. And then those impulses, actions, and behaviors have to manifest themselves. This is a law more real than gravity. This is you. You got the issue. You got to work on yourself. You got to heal. Everybody's issues manifest themselves differently in this world. When you begin to observe them with non-judgment, you have understanding present, which shows you how to have compassion for those people. Doesn't mean you keep them in your life. It just means that you're able to deal with them a lot differently.
Wow.
Yeah.
So listen, ladies, listen, gentlemen. Well, y'all give it up for Ashley. Heart. Hit the thumbs up. Heart. She is absolutely amazing. So the bottom line is this. You really have to do the work.
Yeah.
I mean, you really, and don't go looking, don't go seeking, don't look for no man, don't be on no dating websites, don't go out there looking, because you have to work on you, and God, the universe,
whoever you know,
bring what it is that you need that's going to complete you, but you got to do the work. But if you're not doing the work, then yes, go look, kiss a bunch of frogs.
Kiss a bunch, because you're going to need them. You need them all. They're all perfect.
Right. Go ahead and kiss a bunch of frogs.
Right.
But if you're not looking and you're actually actively doing the work. Because I know some people say, well, I'm doing the work and I've been single for 5 years and I don't desire to be single for 5 years. What do you say to those people?
Do your work.
I'm doing the work.
That's it. No, you're not, because you're worried now about what's not coming. You're now focused on what isn't here yet. You're not doing the work. You focused on all the wrong stuff. You focused on outside of yourself. You should not care how long it's going to come and how long it's going to take when you know that it's coming. That's the thing. You can't focus on what's not here. You got to focus on here. What you want to do is prepare here for over there to come here.
Hello.
Stop focusing on over there, and over here ain't even properly prepared yet. Your nest ain't even ready yet. You over here demanding a black man to be this. You over here demanding this man to do that, this, all that. But you over here ain't even ready for it. You don't even have the natural consequences of submission to be able to maintain the greatness of the man that you are destined to have. Greatness is a heavy crown to wear. You must be prepared for that.
We want all this, but we ain't ready for it. Nowhere
I'm
near
ready for it. I got it. I'm utilizing it. It's working.
Never, not even ready, because we ain't did the work.
Right. So
and
keep kissing them frogs, baby. And having trips. It's so funny, if you lick a frog, they say you go on a hallucination. That's what a lot of these relationships are, hallucinations.
But if you do the work,
you do the work.
Somebody said black women don't know how to submit.
She missed the whole message about what submission is. That's the problem right there. That's that right there. No, that's not it. That's not it. That's not what we're talking about.
So we just talked about how to deal with trauma.
Yes.
How to deal with breakups.
Yes. How
to find. But see, we're not going to find anybody. They're going to find us.
We're going to allow
all those things.
Yeah,
the bottom line is we have to do the work on ourselves. Every experience, trauma or not, was destined. And how we look at it is how we're going to react to it. It's how we live our lives.
Yeah.
However, what we do. You said you've been molested, and you wear that like a badge of honor.
I do.
And you say,
I go deeper in that. we gotta have a conversation about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I think this was absolutely a phenomenal conversation, and so many people needed to hear it. Again, you guys share this on your pages, because Ashley was dropping them gems, life-changing, transformational nuggets for you to just do a whole overhaul and transform your lives. I'm sitting here transformed. I sit here and a few times, I'm a thug. If you know me, people know I don't cry. I got tattooed tears underneath this makeup. You know what I mean? I don't do that. But there was a few times where I wanted to be like, contain yourself, contain yourself, contain yourself, contain yourself. Because what you were speaking 100% pure truth, Ashley. Because we got to break down, and we have to do the work. In order for us to keep elevating, we got to do the work.
The Black woman is the greatest forgiver and nurturer of all of mankind.
Yeah.
So we have been abused and beaten and ridiculed for so long that the idea of us being that is traumatizing.
Yeah.
But it's just an idea.
Ladies and gentlemen, Ashley Hampton, thank you for being on here. You guys, I'm going to be doing a Q&A at Constance Carter VIP. Make sure you subscribe. And I'll be Tuesday at 5 o'clock Pacific, 8 o'clock Eastern. Make sure, Ashley, hang around with me for a minute. Don't get off yet. But you guys, thank you for tuning in. Ashley, where can they find you?
Majestic Ashley on Instagram, or Ashley Lynn Hampton on Facebook.
A lot of people ask, what is your social media, girl? I need to follow you. I need to find you. I need you in my life. I need you to be my coach. I need you to be my spiritual advisor. I need your help. I need a breakthrough. They can find you at Ashley, at Majestic Ashley on Instagram.
Yes.
And Ashley Lynn Hampton on Facebook.
And come get pierced by me, because it's a whole experience out here.
It's a whole experience. And that's another thing. That's what we talked about yesterday. We didn't touch on it today, but one of the things that her services that she offers is she is actually piercing you. She's doing a spiritual piercing where she's piercing your coochie, piercing your breast, piercing your face, piercing your nose, piercing your tongue, piercing whatever, while she's doing this breakthrough, which is really strange. I may come in there and I think I might get my nose pierced. How about that?
And your lashes done too, right? Because we have a lash artist.
And I need to do something with this tattoo too.
Check out JB's Ink Therapy, JBS_Ink_therapy on Instagram. All of our artists are on there. Everybody is spectacular. Most of our artists are booked out till August, May, and April, but we are the only Black-owned shop in our city and the first. So we're having a blast. Yeah.
Beautiful. Black Ink, Stockton. All right, y'all. Thank you.
Yeah, it's CC, CEO. Want to change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a goal getter, a big investor, a goal builder. I can teach you to get richer like millions, baby.